This is Jared Rand. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Time for Change call, 9 p.m. Saturday, June 23rd, 2018, 9 p.m. Eastern. And when we go on the Q&A, we'll do the same thing we always do. Everybody, stays quiet, and you just push star 6 and come in. Right now, I've got everybody muted and they can't do anything. And but we'll go into Q&A, and then we'll change it so that people can access. Now, right now, there's a lot of things going on out there, and people have questions about. And I wanted to share number one, I'll do a disclaimer and just basically say that I'm not an attorney, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a financial advisor or anything like that. This call is just for entertainment purposes only, and all information is messaged through me, and that's pretty much it. But I'm not a wellness expert or anything like that. So, there's been a lot of questions about the med beds, and there's different, since I mentioned med beds, there's been more that have popped up of different types, different applications. There's the holographic med bed, there is the regenerative med bed, and then there's the reatomization med bed. And, the difference in them is the regeneration basically regenerates tissue and body parts, but it's powered by different source. The reatomization basically is a head-to-toe, about a 2.5 to 3 minute process that regenerates the body, basically. And we're in the near future. These now, as far as I've been communicated to. These beds aren't out there and they aren't being used. So, there's a lot of people that are making statements that, that they'll be ready in a couple of weeks. That's not the case. You have to understand that the technology of these medical devices are not from planet Earth. They aren't human created. They're technologies that have been given, that are going to be given to humanity. And we have to be careful with all of these technologies because, there are negatives. There are negative influences and energies on this planet that from time to time we have to deal with. They just aren't all gone. We will run into them on occasion. And, through this transition, and we have to be aware and prepared, and that's why it's a good idea to be focused, centered, and balanced with your direction, and to be aware around you at all times. So that, briefly, without getting into heavy detail, those are the three differences on those beds. It's just different applications. Without going into scientific analogy. Now there's several power devices, and there is an anti-gravitic power drive, and the anti-gravitic energy has been used since the 1940s on this planet for outer space, for the secret space program, where they have fleets of anti-gravitic powered starships, saucers, UFOs, whatever you want to call them. And most of the technology on these devices have been reverse engineered in order for humanity to be able to put those together and fly them, quite frankly, anywhere. An anti-gravitic device on this planet can go from point A to point B within 15 seconds anywhere on the planet. And some of them have been caught on camera at a tremendous amount of accelerating speed, of covering ground at horrendous rates from point A to point B. Now, when you look at currently, and it's common sense, if we look at our current status as humanity, and we look at all of the technologies that we currently have, that we're in, and that's, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to look around and see what kind of technologies we have for the surface population. Now, when you take those technologies and you figure out that the real technologies, the technologies that we should be using that have been kept from us, are 100 years at least forward and advanced of the ones that we're using. We use a combustible engine, which is, it's over 100 years old. Now think about that. We have been so interdependent on combustible engines, it's over 100 years old. That technology is. Yeah, sure, they've added stuff, computers and everything, but basically it's a combustible engine with a lot of garbage on it today. And one of the earliest vehicles, I think it was the Model T. I'm not quite sure. I think it was the Model T. But a Model T would get 25 miles per gallon. And every car, every automobile in America, mind you, is capable of getting 250 miles per gallon of gas. Now, because of how they've engineered things and how they've done things, that we can't get that, obviously. There are some vehicles outside of the United States, like Volkswagen, that has a vehicle that can get 250 miles per gallon. And the powers that be here in this country would not allow it to be brought into this country. So we look at all of these, and then we go to a power source where we don't need power lines. We don't need transferring power. We don't need substations. We don't need transformers. Units that technology are available is that you just hook them up to your house, and they run indefinitely, and they without any moving parts, and the power runs your house. Or you can put it inside the home. You don't have to worry about storms or drop power line or any of that stuff. You just think about that. In making our lives to transitioning from very challenging at times to very simple, very easy. Now you imagine not having to stress and worry about paying your power bill, because again, the social structure of this planet, humanity, and the direction we're going with the vibrational frequencies, we're not going to have money. We're not going to have digital money. We're not going to have money. We're not going to have Bitcoin. We're not going to have Litecoin. We're not going to have Ethereum. We're not going to have any of this stuff. You understand, and I've touched on this before, but it's very important to comprehend as a group, as a collective, is that all the things that we have been raised on, told and grown up on, is a lie. When you think about it, we came out of the Dark Ages and we came out of feudal times and all that, and we started over pretty much. And there have been, and I'm sure some of you know this, there have been human civilizations on this planet way before us. And when you look at where we should be, advance-wise, and out of a slave system, because the whole design of planet Earth for humanity is a slave system. Now, you understand that when you don't have an opportunity to compare with anything, there's nothing to compare it with. As far as looking at a different model or looking at a different social structure of how things operate on a grand scale. When you look at our system on planet Earth, you think about these things, and this is what our freedom is about, to eliminate and restructure the way we live. Eliminate how we live now and restructure on how we're going to live. And that is eliminate the slave system. And the slave system is across the board. And all you have to do is look around and look at things, and look at the internet, and look at all of the things that are controlled. Just think about it. Your privacy is controlled. You don't have any. I mean, they've been watching us for years. People just don't know that. They can hear you in the living room. They can hear, they've got satellites that can pick the freckle out on the tip of your nose. And these things are all advanced technologies that could be put to good use for humanity, but aren't, and they're kept apart. A lot of the UFO sightings on this planet are man-made UFOs, reversed engineered. A lot of them. And, the human race should know about those things. They should know about them. They should know about all the truths. So you got to go, and you've got to have the truths come out for a civilization. Humanity's got to know the truth. It can't happen over 100 years time period where a little bit of this comes out, a little bit of that comes out. That never works. It never works. Period. Does not work. So another thing that does not work, and I'm sure all of you will agree, how many times have you read or have you looked at information that you're researching? And whenever money, is distributed on this planet, where does it go? It goes to the governments, it goes to the central banks, and it never goes to the people. A lot of promises are made that the people are going to get this and they get that, but they never do. And the money is always absconded with, and no one ever knows where it goes. They think it's going in the right places, but it isn't. That's why the select few at the top of the prison floor, as the wardens of the prison, they collect all the money. That's why we have poverty. That's why it's so lopsided on this planet financially. Period. It's just crazy. In America, on this planet, everybody should be a multimillionaire. Equal distribution of wealth, and that's the truth. So you imagine that vision, so to speak. Imagine that vision. Imagine that type of life. Okay, and the point is that money is man-made. It's man-created. It's the paper and everything, and the gold and silver and everything is God-made. But when you think about wealth and you think about how you attach yourself to it, is basically it's eliminating things that you don't have to stress and worry about, and it's being able to take care of yourself and feed yourself and house yourself and clothe yourself without worrying about it anymore. See? In a slave structure, you're always stressed and worried, and you're always separated and segregated, and constantly being pounded, and you're constantly being robbed every day. It's like you got a bunch of hands in your pockets all the time, and I'm sure some of you feel that way. It's like somebody you've got a hand in your pocket. As soon as your money goes into your pocket, it goes out. The hand takes it out. And, you struggle to buy food. You struggle, and there's a lot of people that do this. They struggle to buy food. They struggle to buy just the bare necessities in order to exist. And thinking about this across the board, the people should receive the wealth. The people, imagine that. For the first time ever, the people receiving the wealth. not the governments. Okay, the governments are supposed to serve the people. That's a joke, because they don't. And so when you look at this from the standpoint of, and it's pretty common sense, you start to realize that all of us, and they're really, pretty much are in a slave world. And we're taught, and educational places, universities, colleges, high schools, all of the schooling system in this country and on the planet are all controlled. It's all dictated. Everything that is read and taken in, and all the education that is taken in and read, a lot of it is redundant. And if people realize that, most of it is, there's a majority of it redundant, just expanded. And so you learn and you educate and you get a job, you get a degree and you get a job, and that's the process. And then you retire and then you die. And that's pretty much the process in our country, and it's pretty much the process in other countries. And where is your freedom? Where is humanity's freedom? Where is it at? You don't have it. It's not there. You're told that you have freedoms. But if you look around and you basically research things and look at things from a simple point of view, you really don't. Because all you got to do is look around and see all the regulations, all the control mechanisms. I mean, it goes on and on and on. Everybody in this country who drives a vehicle never will own it outright. Will never own it. And people say, well, how is that? Because, you get a loan, you pay it off, and, the title. The title is always in the state you bought the car. It's always under the state, the state of, and, it's titled in the state, not titled you. It's not titled with your name at the top, but the state. And in order to drive it, you have to pay a fee every year. Think about it. In order to drive or to travel in your car, you have to pay a fee every year. You have to have insurance all the time, or you'll go to jail if they catch you. They'll take you to jail. They'll put you in jail for not driving with if your license expires and you don't have tags and you don't have registration, whatever, you will go to jail. Now, and every year you have to pay. You have to pay to drive your vehicle on the road. Now think about that for a minute. It's just funny how we take things in and accept them. How as a large group of humans, how we take things in and we accept them. We don't really question them. We just say, oh, well, that's the way it's always been. No, that's just normal. That's what you have to do. And so it's interesting. You just take it in stride, but it is a freedom that has been taken away. Years ago, if you track, the American people in this country, you go back years and years ago, you didn't need a license. You didn't need a driver's license, to keep track of you. You didn't have to go to driver's training school. You learn out on a farm or something how to drive a vehicle. And you go back far enough, you will find that we did not, before the corporation came in and took over the country, before we didn't have a lot of the things that we have now. I mean, we have taxation that is so far-fetched it's unreal. We have inflated prices that are off the charts in our food stores. It's just crazy. Now, imagine every grocery store in America, okay? Every grocery store in America. When you went into the grocery store, you had a person, a farmer, usually, in the produce section. And the farmer would discuss anything you wanted to know about the produce because that farmer would provide the majority of the produce in that store, and would be able to tell you, how they were grown. And imagine that, how that would work for human beings to come into a place and have a knowledge of what they're eating, and to know how it's grown. And I don't mean, you stick it in the ground, you water it, and it grows, but to know what went into it to grow it. And now all the grocery stores had these people. And the grocery stores weren't these humongous, massive structures. They were the mom-and-pop type size grocery stores that we used to have in America. And you'd have them, they'd be right there in the neighborhood. You'd go down the street, and you'd know the owner and everything else. Now imagine those popping up. And if people say, well, they couldn't afford it because prices would have to be higher and volume. But when you change, the system has been changed. So you go into the stores and you have a good selection, but you don't pay for anything. See? It's a service provided from one human to another. You don't pay for anything. See, we've been trained to pay for everything. We've been trained that in order to live, in order for any of you to live, pretty much, you have to earn a living. So you have to earn the right to live. Earn a living. People don't think about this. Words are quite powerful in definition and descriptions. But, when you think about that, you work to live. Think about that. You don't work to enjoy things, like I enjoy what I do. I don't call it work. But when you work to live. That's what you do. And then on top of it, think about it. Most people don't make enough with work to live, jobs, to feel comfortable, to feel taken care of, to feel supported, to eliminate. Stress is a deadly thing. It kills many of us as the years pile on. It just destroys us. And you build, as you get older, your stress levels could go higher and higher and higher. And to be sitting there worrying about food, clothing, a roof over your head is absolutely ridiculous. It's just utterly ridiculous. With all the wealth on this planet, and it is astronomical no matter what they try to convince you of, no matter what, and I mean the energies, the negative energies. And that encompasses and incorporates many. So when they control everything, and everything is pretty much trickery. It's magic. It's meant to trick you into believing certain things, which aren't true. So if you were to ask your neighbor, do you have 100% control of your life? Ask your friends that. And ask them to think about it, those that are awake, to think about that. Are you 100% in control of your life? Which means, do you control everything? I don't know of anybody yet that has said to me, and when I've asked that question, yes. Because when you think about you don't control your job or your income. You are paid to show up at a place and to give your time and effort on a specific responsibility. If you do not carry out that function correctly, or you mess up in certain areas, you will be fired you have no control over it, period. Now, you make a certain amount of money, and that's it. That's it. You can't say, okay, well, that's not enough, give me more. That you would be in control then. You would be in control. But, when everybody's talking about wanting to know, when are we going to have the financial shift? When is it coming? When is it going to be here? What time will it be here? When is it coming? And my answer to that is it's already, I say this all the time, it's happening. It's just that people aren't looking. They aren't watching enough. They're relying too much on other messengers to give them information. And when you look at you as a human being and how you would like to control your life, well, for instance, you would have all the wealth you needed, so that would eliminate a lot of worries, stresses, and fears. All right, you wouldn't need to invest in anything. All right, we wouldn't need a stock market, wouldn't need any of that stuff. It's just all a constructed thing. It's like you're in the prison yard and you've got different duties that are assigned to you, and you carry them out. And you got to keep the prisoners happy. You got to keep them occupied. You got to give them entertainment. You got to do certain things so that they don't get disgruntled. So you look at humanity as the prisoners, and then you look at the planet and you look at how everything has been meticulously designed, and you start to realize things start coming to light. For instance, you realize that there's a space program in the outer atmosphere in our solar system. And it's been around for decades. And they carry all kinds of technologies. And they trade out there. They do commerce and trade and different other civilizations and their ships, and they travel through different solar systems and galaxies, and they meet other civilizations, and they have a trade route, and they exchange, and they don't have money. Say they don't. I'll give you $20 for that. That doesn't exist. Now, if you picture our civilization that exists, we exist without money, no banks, no finances, anything like that. Now, people always say this, well, what would happen if no one had to work, then everybody would do anything, and then what would happen? How would that work? Well, you figure this out, that you do things because you enjoy them. Now, everybody has ideas of doing things that they enjoy, but the majority of the time they are stopped, about 99% of the time, because they usually say, well, I don't know where to begin, and I have to make a living. Make a living. Another phrase or statement. Make a living. Earn a living. So, it's not, you can't live unless you do these certain things, okay? And then you come into contact with the other burdens that you carry, the things that dictate to you that you have to have medical coverage. You have to have different insurances. You have to know that that's safe. And you have to have a very honest medical structure. That's a problem because we don't have that. And, we're in a situation where you are told what to do. You are told what to do, when to do it. You are educated from that same conglomerate of saying, well, you've got to do this, this, and this, and if you don't do this, this, and this, this, and this will happen to you. Everybody is worried about everything. So you've got a continual stress, a stress burden that's on your shoulders all the time. And I haven't met anybody yet that says, "Oh no, I don't have any stress and I don't have any anxiety and I don't have to, everything's a cakewalk," and it isn't. And when we realize all this, and you get a little frustrated and everything, but then you realize that if you don't like something, you can change it. And collectively, humanity is changing their direction and how they live on this planet. And the way that we've always been trained and taught to live isn't a healthy way to live. It isn't. Now, when you aren't being paid for something, a lot of people will do things because they get paid to do them. If you ask that person, "Well, what if I didn't pay you? Would you still do this?" They look at you like you're crazy. So you say, "Okay, well, I'll pay you to do this." Now, it doesn't mean that the person you're paying does a good job. That's another thing. So you pay them, and they do a crappy job. So again, you don't hire them again. You go find someone who takes interest in what they do. If everybody took interest in what they did, and they did it because they enjoyed doing it, imagine the difference we would have immediately on this planet. If all of your basic needs were taken care of, and you contribute to society, to the social structure of humanity, by giving your time. Think about that. That's your investment, time. And your time is done by helping neighbors, is helping other people, helping humanity, helping all life, respecting all life, respecting the planet, respecting each other, loving each other, working together in harmony. These are all things that can be done. But you have to eliminate certain things that cause friction and disagreement on a large scale. See? We have those egos that come in. We have situations where we are in, pound our chest, want this, want that, and, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and you can't do this, and you can't do that. And, we look at, we haven't had the luxury, obviously, at least that we know of living in a meritocracy. And the meritocracy is humans contribute based on merit. They give back of their time and their abilities to humanity. You eliminate the money. And that's where we're headed, guys. And I've said that before, and it bears being repeated. We're headed that. That's where we're going. So, all this, I would expect that within 10 years that we are not going to have a monetary system on this planet. That's what I would. That's my guess. That's just my personal guess. In about 10 years, we will not have a monetary system. Now, when you look at that, okay, and you look at the changing technologies. So when you travel, you don't use the ground anymore. You use the air. Okay? And when you do travel, you go from point A to point B in a blink of the eye. So you don't. It is in a time. It doesn't grab your time, and it doesn't take up all your time, and you're able to do a lot of things. So you want to travel to another planet, you'll be able to travel to another planet. These are all things that I often ask Father, Mother, God, Prime Source, Creator God to bring that in the forefront so that humanity wakes up to the fact that we can have all that. And it doesn't take 100 years to have it, because a lot of it has already been invented. All of it's been invented, but a lot of it is available to us now. And, everybody wants to know when. and you introduce this stuff, and you introduce it to a small group of people, and then slowly but surely these groups take it, and then they have direction and guidance, and then they start making and they start distributing, and slowly but surely it takes grip. Now you have an old system. It's very antiquated on the planet, and it's very corrupt. So you have to eliminate those systems to usher in new systems. If you try to bring out the new system with the old system still operating, you got conflict. I'm sure most of you know that it wouldn't work too well that way. So, we get to a point where we have anti-gravitic vehicles that scooter us around at, blink of the eye speed, safely. We have power devices that power all of our needs safely, indefinitely. We have health care, immediate health care that keeps us perfect health all the time. We learn how to take care of ourselves properly. We aren't infused with poisons in the air and the ground and the water in our food. We don't have any poisons. They're all gone. And this is painting a picture of a future reality that is approaching us at breakneck speed. So it's trying to get people to visualize this and to actually see it transpiring and coming into reality. Not just a statement made, not just talk, but reality of actually seeing these in your mind's eye of these technologies that are being used right now. And they are being used right now, just not for humanity yet. Okay? They're being used off planet. And, when you grasp that, you understand that, then it doesn't mean anyway we can have that. And we have a financial shift on the planet that's in full swing. We have, I've described this before. If you take something that represents value and you devalue it to the point where it is absolutely ludicrous at the level of worth that you've devalued it at, and it stays there for 20, 30, 40 years, you have to rebalance that with a new system, especially. When you have a system that has no hard assets backing it, and I mean hard assets, in-ground, authentic hard assets backing it. It's just paper. It's printed paper. And the only way that it can do anything is that if you give it the power to do something. If you say that this $20 is worth $20 of something I can buy, if you're able to say that and believe that, then that's what it is. You could take river rock, convince the population that river rock is highly valuable. I guarantee you, if they did that, people would start hoarding river rock. If they were convinced that it was very valuable. See? And that lopsidedness of the gold rushes of years past, of people getting wealthy and grabbing the carrot, so to speak, and everybody wanting wealth and prosperity. Nothing wrong with that. But imagine all of humanity wealthy, prosperous. It's no big deal anymore. It doesn't stand out in the crowd anymore. It's just ho-hum. And the negative energies that control everything don't want that. They want to be able to control the money, control the structure of the money, control everything there is to control about the money, and dictate it to humanity. and control humanity. And what you do is that you continue. What you do to humanity is you lie to humanity. You continually lie. You put up false fronts. It's like walking in, let's put it this way. You walk into a town and it looks real until you walk around it and find out those are just fronts. But you could have sworn that was a real town. It's like on television, you see a lot of things, or the movies, that literally, it almost pulls you in that it really looks real. I mean, they do a great job on special effects and CGI and all the technologies that they apply to movies. So things can be convincing when all they are is a mirage. So when humanity starts to really get clear, it starts looking at things from multiple directions and starts realizing that, when I look at it from this angle, it disappears. But when I look at it over here, it reappears. It's solid. So it's not real. And most of the things that humanity has been told is a lie. And if any of you research it long enough and dig it up long enough, you're going to start finding the pieces that will tell you that it's a lie. That the way they have structured life for humanity is that humanity is nothing more than a vehicle for them to have power and wealth and control. That's all it is, period. That's all it is. It is not a, we want to take care of you, we want to care for you, we honor you, we respect you, period. Okay? And so what do you do to a civilization? You keep them sick as you can keep them. You keep them sick all the time. You try to get them as sick as possible and keep them sick so that your corrupt medical system can treat them all the time with more things that make them sicker, but they think they're getting better. I mean, when you think about that, you start realizing that everything is structured not in your favor as a human being. Nothing is structured in your favor. So there's something wrong with that, because you're always, in good things, there's balance. There's always balance. When you see things that are so whacked out of balance, that are so lopsided, like the wealth distribution of this planet is absolutely atrocious. It is pathetic. It's ludicrous. You have a small amount of creatures and humans that have all the wealth and money. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. And then they watch, behind their closed doors and behind all of the crimes they commit and how they stay above the law, and they watch how all of humanity, for the most part, suffers on a day-to-day basis. Okay? So, and that lowers the vibrational frequency of humanity, because the more people that are frustrated, the lower the vibrational frequency. So, we increase the vibrational frequency, and we continue to increase it so it's going to get to a point where it's way beyond their level of control. Because as you vibrate, which you do constantly 24/7, you just don't know it, but you're vibrating, and as you vibrate, and you start absorbing the love and the light from Creator Source God, from Father, Mother God, you start expanding and you start growing and you start becoming clearer and you start seeing things that you saw before, but when you looked at them before, you really didn't see anything out of the ordinary. But now when you look at them, you see a lot of things. You see a lot of cracks, a lot of breakages that things seep through and literally start telling you that this is wrong. This isn't right. This shouldn't be this way. And that's why, because your vibrational frequency keeps increasing, that's how you become. You become more aware, more clear, more direct. You take in more. You're much more about figuring things out, you start seeing things, because at least the worst thing that could happen is that humanity has its own mind and can think for itself. Now, they believe that humanity can't think for itself, that they got to take care of it, and do all their nefarious activities to keep it under control and keep the population under control, all of it. So people will say, why don't they do this, and why don't they do this, and why aren't they taking care of this, and why aren't they taking care of that? Because they don't want to. It's because humanity has the responsibility to take care of it. And that's what they don't want to have happen. Because as we increase in vibrational frequency and harmony, and we become more and closer with Creator, we start to open up the horizons that have been locked away and hidden from us, and we start seeing the truth. And when you start seeing the truth, it does not stop. It just keeps expanding. Everywhere, every nook and cranny you used to look where you didn't find anything, now you're seeing everything. And it's coming right into focus, clear and concise right in front of you. So you realize, as all of us on this planet move to living in harmony, move, in other words, up the stairs, not down the stairs, but up the stairs, we move into harmony each day more and more. We move into loving balance each day more and more. And we're doing that. And now sometimes it doesn't feel like we're moving, but we're moving very fast. And then sometimes we feel that there's nothing changed. Everything is changing. Change is constant. Once you grasp that and understand that, then you start realizing we're all changing constantly. We're all progressing constantly. Some more than others, obviously. But the fact of the matter is that collectively, the human race is going to make this shift. And knowing the truth, because we demand the truth, we want the truth to come out across the board about everything. Everything. Hook, line, and sinker. Nothing held back. All has to come out. So when it all comes out, we learn about us. We learn our true history. We learn what really went down. We become educated. We learn about our past. We learn about our origins. We learn about all of that. That's powerful. And we store it in archives. We say, okay, fine. Now we know. Now we can move on much easier, much better, much quicker. Because there's not a bunch of gaps and holes in things that a lot of us ask. We want to know. Where did we come from? How did we get here? What are we doing here? What's our purpose? Why does this always happen? Why are things happening the way they are? Why is everything such a mess? On and on and on. And it's because we are not informed. We are not educated in a lot of ways. Right? Imagine going to a learning center and you want to find out about the human race and its origins. You go in there and you find out. No shenanigans, no trickery, no false information, no hidden agendas or anything, but just pure, unadulterated, clean information that you just pick up freely. So now you know. And I'm painting this picture because this is the picture that I'm sure the majority of you would love to embrace. Okay? Now understand that, we do, when we're in harmony, work as a herd, believe it or not. The human race does. So the negative energies know that, and then they want to, they control it and dictate it by hiding the truth and manipulate, so on and so forth. So there is no reason whatsoever for the majority to rule. And the majority to rule is the human race, you and I. And when we need things taken care of, we hire people to take care of them. And if they don't do a good job, we fire them. That's it. Think about it that way. All right? Try, just as a suggestion, that when we have a for-the-people government, we hire those people to do services for us, to do things for us, all right? To represent us and to carry out our wishes and our ideas and so on and so forth. But if they don't do a good job, we get rid of them. Another thing that we do as a collective is that we realize that governments are to serve, not to control the people. So we realize that if you have a small government, that the people always know what's going on. They don't even have to strain to know what's going on because the government is so small that they can control it effortlessly. So there's no worry. There's no frequency of people worried about all these corruptions and everything. Now you look at the independent territory in D.C. And it's funny. Our true home, and it's always been there. Our true republic is Philadelphia. All right, that's where the Continental Congress was called. And some of you, I don't know if you know what a Continental Congress is, but we haven't called one in over 150 years in this country. And when you call for a Continental Congress, it means that representatives from the different states, which are just no different than countries, under one roof here in America. We've got all these states, but to me they're countries, and they're all together and unified. And when you have a Continental Congress, it's representatives from each of the states are represented by people who care about the people. And they go and they get together and they take care of things that need to be taken care of for the country. And everything is an open book. And we know, we're informed. We know what's going on. Imagine that. Imagine knowing what's going on. Imagine that. Just imagine how that would empower you. We all have a say. Every one of you has a say. Don't ever believe that you don't. You have a say. You all have wonderful ideas. I mean, it's just, phenomenal things that you could contribute, and of which many will. But when you look at that picture and you start to realize, and then look at the picture now, and trying to make a comparison, trying to paint one area so you look at the current status of things, and you can compare. You can actually say, okay, which one serves the people in the healthiest way? Which one does? Well, the republic for the people is a small body government that serves the people in the people's best interest. Common law, okay, structure, and look up common law and see what it means. It's a group of responsible people that jurisdict and direct authority in the groups of people across the country, such as jural assemblies. But when you realize what clearly has taken place in our country, you begin to realize that we really haven't had a real government for the people in well over 100 years. Period. We've had a dictatorship that's actually posed as a government. And when you start comparing these platforms, okay, these processes, which one are you gravitating towards? Ask yourself that. Which one do you gravitate towards? You gravitate towards a small government, a republic that's for the people. Not just saying that, but, bottom line, for the people, works for the people. Not this megalithic atrocity that has been, developed in Washington, D.C. So, when you look at these different things, imagine having republic and imagine having transparency where the people are taken care of, which means that you have a structure where people are well off. They don't have to worry about incidentals or necessities because they're taken care of. They don't have to worry about their health because that's taken care of. Think about that. Now imagine all Americans in this country having the health care that the congressmen and senators have. It's just mind-boggling. Now these are people that serve that as we identified serve the people. They're supposed to serve the people. They don't serve the people. Okay, they serve their own special interest. So imagine that. Imagine having total health care coverage, optical, dental, everything. Imagine having a $600,000 paid-up life insurance policy that if you die, your wife or whoever gets it paid free, no problem, and they get total coverage for the rest of their existence wherever on the planet. You just have a card, you show that card, and it covers you on everything. Carte blanche. Now you look at the American people, and then these are the people that dictate a health care policy to the American people. That's the bottom line. Usually 3,000-4,000 pages long. No one understands it anyway. And it's just garbage, and it's got a bunch of stuff stuck to it, special interests that they can, sneak through. And so the people get sicker, and it becomes more and more difficult for them to live a happy life, a joyful life. And that's where we're pushing things, and that's where we're headed, to a joyful, happy life, existence, a participative existence, where you're motivated to interact with other humans because it's a joy to do so, because you're giving, and you're giving freely. And when all of those things are taken care of for you as a human being, your motivation is much different. It's much higher. No, people aren't going to sit around and do nothing because they follow the herd. They're going to want to participate. Some of them won't even know why, but they will. And that's how we are transforming things, and that is the world, so to speak, that we are headed to. That's if you want a vision to hold on to, that's the vision. Without going into tremendous detail and dozens of hours, that's, in a simple form, that's the vision. That's the world. You're totally taken care of, which every human being should be. See, there shouldn't be no exceptions. Everybody should be taken care of. It's just crazy. You got to pay for everything. You got to pay to live. If you don't pay to live, you die. All right? And if you don't have the money to have the health care to take care of yourself, you die. See? And then when you die, they get $1 million life insurance policy all paid up, ready. It just pays out to them. Everybody in this country has a life insurance policy put out on them by the corporation. A lot of people don't know that. And everybody in this country is traded every day. Traded like a commodity, like a piece of gold or oil. And it's traded constantly. We're traded all day long, every day. Literally generating thousands of trillions of dollars every day. Across the planet, quite frankly. All humans. They're trading vehicles. They're being traded. All the money goes to the select few. The rest of humanity suffers, and continues to suffer more as society degrades. See? So we're leaving that behind and moving in to a happy life, as I've described. And I don't think anybody would say, oh, no, I'm going to be depressed in that kind of life. And anything is possible. It's like, people think, well, that's just so far-fetched, that's ridiculous. No, because when you look at the narrative here, and you look at everything across the board, there is so much more above that, okay? If you look down all the time, you're never going to see anything. And that's what a lot of people do through life. They look down all the time. They never see anything. Passes them by. And this progression is your eyes are straight up, looking in the sky, looking around, taking all of it in. So we have a wonderful future as humanity. And to believe is part of it, and to increase our collective consciousness, to increase each one and every single one of us, to increase our attitude, our feelings, our joy, our bliss, our happiness, to increase that, to do whatever we can to elevate it. Sometimes I'll just say, I'm going to deposit some joy in the universe. Gives you a good feeling. You ever wondered why we always concentrate on the negatives when we're thinking? All the worries and the stresses we concentrate on. We don't think about the good and the positive that we can concentrate on. We're constantly worried and stressing and fearing a lot of the times. It's just the way it is. How many people do you see holding hands skipping down the road because they're so happy? I don't know about you, but I haven't seen, dozens of people skipping because they're free and footloose, fancy-free, and happy and joyous and lighthearted. But to try to structure a comparison in as simple as I can, so that you can view that, so you can get a different perspective. All this other stuff is the old getting ready to die. All the stuff that you're viewing, all the things you're looking at, it's this. If you'll notice how redundant and how boring and how draggy it all is, it's the same old, same old. We got to have a special counsel to investigate this there, and nothing ever happens. And it does. You watch it and you see it, and nothing ever really takes place. It's just all a show. It's entertainment, if you want to call it. If you really want to say it, I don't think it's great entertainment, but it's entertainment. So what we'll do now is we'll go to a little Q&A. We're not going to make this call 3 hours. And I will. The call will be posted through IQD calls, because I send them the link. And the last one I had, I guess they took it down off of YouTube. I don't know why. But, there's a lot of people out there that voice opinion and attitude and ideas that some of them really heavy duty. So I don't know. But this call is being recorded, and it can be accessed, open access from the conference site, because I turn it on to allow others to access it. And so you can listen to it. May not get the circulation if they cut it off again, but that's fine, because the people that listen to it they get copies of it, they can listen to it, pass it on to other people, so on and so forth, word of mouth type thing. But we'll see if it stays up this time. The others did. But now what I'm going to do is I'll take everybody off of lock, and then we'll do Q&A, and everybody I asked to be quiet, so let each person ask a question, and I will do my best to see if I can answer it. And we've done fine in the past, so let's see if we can continue that direction. Okay.
Good evening, Jared.
Yes.
Thank you for everything you're doing, your daily meditations. They are really making a major shift on the planet. I have a question for you regarding the upcoming RV. I've been in it for years, and there's one question that I wanted to ask where each of us who have purchased currency, it is known that how much we have of each of the different currencies. And so talking to some of my deep insiders, with the 800s coming out, we are being told that if you go in and let's say instead of doing the bulk of everything you have, you just want to get immediate cash, and let's say you take like 2 25K IQDs, that if you do an exchange at let's say a street rate, that whatever you do from that point forward, you are committed to that initial lower rate rather than, let's say, the humanitarian rate. Do you know the truism of that?
Well, number one, let's put it this way. Let's use some common sense. If you're going in to exchange something valuable, let's just say currency in this case, and you go in, but you have so much of it, okay, but you only go in and you only want to, you get enough cash together that you say you just want to cash in a couple, okay, at a certain rate, okay. You'll be back later to cash in the rest. Well, now imagine if you were to do that, and then you could take that money and buy more currency and then exchange it. So the point is that when you go in, you do it all. You just take care of it all. Period. And you'll have cash availability. You'll have, just like anything else. If you took, let's say you took, like people do this, on a daily basis with the Forex. They buy, sell currencies, money, and they make a lot of money doing that. Because it peaks, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down, it goes up and down. If you ever look at a day trader screen, you can see how it works. And so you have a currency, and that country revalues their currency. And they say, okay, well, it was really crap, and it was way down here. Now we want it to have a true value. We have the commodities to back it and everything. So, we're going to take it in, and it's going to be $3. $3 for every one of these currencies we hold. It's going to be $3, so it's worth a lot more. So you take it in, you got a whole bunch, and you exchange it, and you make a lot of money. Okay, pretty simple. So when and some of you might remember when Kuwait revalued their currency years ago. Other countries have revalued their currency through the years. Now, when you look at a system, fiat or fiat, however you want to say it, that, and I'm expanding on what your question is, because you're asking about going in and exchanging a couple of pieces of currency for a certain rate and asking if that rate is locked in forever and you have to exchange the rest of your currency for that rate. The point is that when you go in all. You get rid of all of it. You're not going to have, you're not going to be able to go in and piecemeal it, go in later and then do the rest. So you want to go in and you want to take care of it all. And you want cash, they'll give you cash. And you'll have the cash. So going in, it kind of doesn't make much sense. If you're going to go in and you're going to exchange a couple pieces of revalued currency for a certain rate, and then leave, and then so you're going to come back with the rest of it and exchange it then. You could kill two birds with one stone by going in and doing it all. It's not going to take long. It won't take long at all. I'll give you an example. If you go to a teller at a bank, because this thing's been so blown out of proportion, it's unreal. I mean, year after year after year, things have been added and layered and added and layered and added and layered, and all of the tech, the involvement, and all of the details and things that have been attached and glued and pasted over, it's just gotten crazy. So you just make it simple. Is that you go in, you go to the teller. Let's just say, and just give you just an analogy here. You go in and there's a teller, and you're going to have a handful of currency. Let's say you don't have a lot. You don't have a shoebox full of currency, of that revalued currency of a certain rate. And you go in and you tell the teller that you'd like to exchange. You've got some foreign currency and you'd like to exchange it for American dollars. And let's say you've got 4 or 5 pieces of currency. All right. And the teller says, okay, Miss Johnson, hold on here. Let me look. Let's see what the rate is. Okay, here's the rate. Is that rate okay with you? And you can say yes or no. Can I get a higher rate? I've got things to do with this money. I've got projects to do, whatever. And if you want to negotiate, then she'll call in a wealth manager or a relationship specialist that will take you aside and start talking with you on that end. If you go in and you just say, no, that's fine, that rate's fine, then she'll make the arrangements to cash you out, just like tellers do anyway. No big deal. Really simple. So, when you're doing these transactions and you have a currency that has recently revalued and you have a rate, because you're going to have a rate, and you look at how much you're going to gain first, is what you look at and say, is this going to be enough? Is this going to be enough to do what I need to have done? So you say, okay, well, I have a project. You may just have one project. And you say, is this going to, and if you do your homework on the projects, you just kind of figure it out. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to say, well, how much is this going to cost to carry out this project from start to finish? What are the parameters that I have to lay out front? So I have a bird's eye, ballpark figure on what it's going to cost to support this for the next 10 years, whatever long. So then you look at the currency and you say, okay, well, I need this X amount. And let's say, well, it's not going to be enough on that rate with the currency you're carrying. So you say, well, I'd like to negotiate a higher rate because I have projects that I need to have covered financially, and this won't do it, period. So it's just, and then you go off with someone else and sit down and see if you can get a higher rate. So for the most part, I don't think anybody, for the most part, that exchanges a recently revalued currency at 3-to-1 is going to be picky or going to be, greedy because of the amount that it will lend of an amount that they never had before. So, no, you're not going to be able to go in and cash out a little bit and then come back and cash out again.
The reason why I was asking was that that there are several other groups that will be cooperating with for people who have cash in hand versus those who have submitted their currencies to the internet groups. And so is it an either or, you have to do it all at once, or is it where you can just do X amount, let's say with the 800 numbers, and then you can hold the bulk back to do with other groups that you have that you want to participate with, but it won't be instantaneously like the 800. And so that's why I was wanting to get some clarity on it in order to make sure that...
If they shut down selling currency across the board, you're not going to be able to double dip because you aren't going to be able to buy any more currency unless you buy it from other people.
Right, and so we're not talking double dipping at all. Yeah. One other question, if you would, please. And we so honor you and appreciate everything you're doing, not only with your clients, but with your daily meditation. And so just from our highest heart self, we just want to honor you on every level. The other question I wanted to ask, again, back to the RV and the currency exchange, is we have been guided to make sure that we have a trust. And recently there was a attorney who was reviewing, if you go into a trust, you are actually putting yourself into a taxable situation. And the bottom line was, when you do your exchange, ask for an escrow with the private banker and the wealth manager so that it is held, and then you can disperse as you see fit. And so I just wanted to get some feedback on that. If
well, I'm not going to give out any financial advice, but I will say this, is that if not a lot of people are bank savvy, okay? Most people go into the bank and they talk to the teller and they do their business and they leave. They don't have a deep education of the banking industry, so that's the norm across the board. So if you don't know what to do with your newfound wealth, then you're going to have to ask. And you're going to have to ask a wealth manager to explain to you the structure of the different accounts and what is the best account to do the best job on protecting your money. That's the bottom line. So you ask, you have to educate yourself, and that's what's going to happen, because people have to get an education on what is the best direction for me. Jane might have a different direction for herself, but Bill, he wants to know, how do I protect my money? How can I best protect my money, and what is the best account that will benefit me? Okay, not benefit the bank, but benefit you. And that's what will happen. I mean, that's easy to do. It's just, I'm not a bank professional. I'm not a banking professional, so could you educate me on the different accounts based upon my newfound wealth? What is the best account that will protect my money the best and protect my money and me the best that you can recommend at this time? And explain it to me. Tell me the different accounts and why I should take a look at this account and that account, no matter what it is. And then, obviously, people have to become educated about their newfound wealth and what to do with it and how to protect it. And that's with anything. That's, you inherit, you win the lotto, all of that is the same thing. You have to go with wealth managers. You got to learn. You got to understand. And that puts it in a simple way that allows people to say, that's not a big deal. I can ask questions. I can educate myself when I go in and I do my transfer. So
thank you.
Yeah.
And so we all have a new profession.
Hello, Jared. Wayne from Australia. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hello.
Yes, hi, Jared. This is Wayne from Australia. I'd like to ask you one or two questions on the medbed technology, please.
Okay.
Good. I'm actually being heard. Thank you very much, Jared. Sorry about my my forcefulness in getting a question answered. Jared, have you actually seen the medbed in operation yourself personally?
Yes.
Excellent. Can you describe for me, if a person had an amputated leg or arm or whatever, how instantaneous is that regenerated, or is it over a time period that it regenerates?
Well, the holographic bed takes a little bit longer. I don't know what the duration of that is to replace the limb holographically. You make a three-dimensional limb, and that's what the holographic bed does. The atomization process of the leg, basically, as it goes over the human body, it performs the reatomization basically at a molecular atomic level of all of the tissue, and it redoes the leg. So the leg, how do I put it? It's as if the leg was never gone.
Really?
Yeah.
That's profound. Now, I heard in one of your other conference calls that even if a person had deceased within several hours, the medbed technology could actually reharness or
reanimate.
Gather. Yes. Could you tell me a little about that?
It's not the medbed. That's a crystalline chamber. That's a chamber, and it's a different device. It's not the medbed. Okay, the medbed was not going to bring people. The medbed won't bring people back to life. This cylinder will bring a person back to life as long as they haven't been passed for a long time. I mean, within a few hours, if someone gets they die, this will bring them back. Period. And that's what it does.
This is absolutely profound in an understanding from a metaphysical and a spiritual point of view. And it just opens the view of this whole existence. And I'm absolutely in deep gratitude that you can speak honestly and you've seen this firsthand. And it in its own right is just going to be such an enormous enlightenment to everyone's consciousness when they get
when the spirit has an opportunity to go back in the body and the body is healthy, is fully functioning, is a different story than going into a sick body. The regenerative properties of the crystalline chamber will, basically the person wakes up and they're good to go. Now, some of this has been depicted through different avenues of communication in the human race. Some of these things have been hinted, but knowing that that technology would not be believable with the general population, that it's safe. It's a safe situation. So most people wouldn't believe that kind of technology exists off-world. That there's just no way. That's just science fiction. That's boogie. And but it does. The off-worlders, extraterrestrials, have developed that. There are people, literally on Earth, that in past lives remember working on one of the beds, and it was I think it was one individual wrote in and said that their son, who was 9, remembers working on the bed, and it was called Forever Life Machine.
Yes.
So.
And may I ask what extraterrestrial race we can thank for this gift?
That's a difficult one because it goes real deep. There's so many different technologies that have exchanged hands that I really am not sure of the true origin of the technology. So I can't answer the question.
Yes, just that I'd like to include them in my prayers and thank you for this wonderful gift that's going to be granted to us.
Well, I'll tell you
Jared,
this. That they'll be acknowledged as the technology is released. So you'll know.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Regarding the age regression component of it, is that something that can be dialed up to whether you want 5 or 10, or do you go back to the minimal age? What sort of control do you have over that?
Well, a balanced age usually is around 35.
Yes.
Okay, and there's other, there is some other technologies that could, you could be 600 years old and look 35 years old.
Yes. Yes, I understand.
So,
you did mention that there was a tableted component for anti-aging. Can you elaborate on that a little?
Yeah, that hasn't been released to the public. There's other form of age pills, but these pills keep an individual at 35.
Mm-hmm.
They reverse. They keep any forms of aging non-active.
Yes.
So,
I have a dear friend with a severe Alzheimer's disease and only probably months to live. Would this technology be able to cater for some regeneration in brain tissue and function?
yeah, if you understand the aging process in the human body,
Yes.
you talk about the telomeres and how we age. As the telomeres, the legs get shorter and shorter, and we become more and more decrepit and old and deteriorate. Our skin, everything deteriorates, breaks down. If you reverse that process, and you have the energy processing system to do so, you can revitalize the body by reversing its level of aging, like almost a time cylinder, where the memory of that age is reinstated, and the telomeres are regenerated to a healthy level, and the body has been renewed. So,
yes,
there's a lot of things that these technologies can apply, and it's endless. There's so many of them that could benefit humanity, and unfortunately, it's taken all this time to finally get to the point so that they can be released. And you're going to start seeing things pop up. Somebody has something and they're talking about it, and develop this and develop that. And blueprints are handed out to different individuals so that that have the ability to put together a prototype. Other deliveries will be from starships that will bring in numerous devices so that we can get started immediately. So there's the Pleiadians, the Sirians, the Andromedans, many of the different civilizations have technologies that they're going to share with humanity.
Right. With the MedBeck technology or the crystalline cylinder or whatever, do you have any control to provide enhancement? Say, for instance, improve one's education skills, or change eye color or skin color, or any other feature that you really have sought for?
That avenue technology is advanced genetics. And right now, if you wanted webbed feet, you could have them. If you wanted white hair, you could have white hair. If you wanted blue eyes, you could have blue eyes. So that technology exists. That exists right now, to be able to change the pigmentation of the skin through genetic enhancement. You take one gene, you replace it with another gene, and you've got webbed feet. If you got black hair and you want white hair, you could have white hair. You give an injection, you take an injection, wake up the next morning, you got webbed feet and white hair.
Okay. Well, how about if you wanted to become an advanced musician, or play the piano, or multiple languages and things like this? Is there a device that's particularly directed in that field?
Universal communication technology exists today, right now.
Yes.
Where anybody can talk with anybody on the planet, no matter what their language.
That's using a processor device. I'm referring to, say for instance, you wanted to become a pianist.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All that can be accomplished.
And that would be something other than
the technology is there. Probably should let someone else ask.
Yes. Thank you.
Hello.
Yes.
Thank you. Real quick, do you see any major things happening this year, perhaps, out of everything?
Say that again. You cut out.
out of everything, do you see any major happenings this year?
Absolutely.
Well,
without a question.
that's good. Thank you.
Yep.
Hello? Hello?
Yes. Yes.
This is Cindy. Can you hear me?
Yes, Cindy, can hear you.
Oh, good. I have a question. I'm confused. You said we aren't going to have any more money in about 5 years?
No, I said my personal opinion is about 10 years from now.
10 years. See, the thing is, a lot of us hold Zim and Dong, and we're going to negotiate with the bankers for higher rates for humanitarian projects, and part of that has to do with the length of time we're going to have the funds involved with the bank. So to go beyond 10 years would be pointless, right? Because it won't exist anymore.
Well,
correct?
you make the shift. You know, I mean, it's the process is that there's no guarantees with anything, as you well know. So there isn't a written guarantee that in 10 years that transition will be complete. But the fact of the matter is that when you look at the new financial structure that's above all the rest, that's above everything, you're looking at a transition of giving wealth to the human race. So
right, Sorry.
Yeah, so that you have wealth across the planet, and then everybody is able to start off and do good deeds.
I have real projects lined up, and I'm with the understanding that the 4th of July we'll have Nasara. Is that correct?
There, you know, the Reformation guidelines, which more and more people are aware of, will be announced. All I can say is will be announced very shortly to the public.
Because Zora had said on his call that the only taxes we'll have will be consumption taxes, and that there won't be any capital gain taxes on payments made to us for keeping the money in the bank, you know, quarterly payments. We won't have those. There won't be income tax. There won't be property tax. Just a consumption tax. So
no, there won't be.
And that includes the trust, right?
Yeah, the consumption tax is basically will take care of all the needs of the different state, city, public governments, the government, the main body government. You're looking at a 14 to 17% tax that will be a consumption tax that will be automatically extracted on any new item purchases. Period.
So that means any trust that you set up will not be taxed with that change?
No, none of that stuff. All of the corrupt taxation that really never usually goes anywhere but the pockets of those at the top.
Right.
Is going to, and people know that because of the shape of the planet. So it basically is all of that's eliminated. There's no need for it. It's not necessary. All right. It's all part of the prison. And
you mentioned.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. You mentioned 3 med beds. I was with the impression that there were only 2. I understand the holographic grows limbs. One is reatomization. It reverses the body to the age of 20 if you want to go there. But you also mentioned a tissue med bed. I hadn't heard of a 3rd bed.
No, there is a regenerative, there is a reatomization, and there is a holographic.
And okay, now Zora said that those med beds were a free gift from the Galactics to us for humanity, and yet
right.
Kent Dunn came out and said they're going to cost $60,000 to $80,000 per bed, and that's confusing to me because when I go to promote these as a project for humanity at the bank, what am I going to tell them how much these are going to cost? Because I want to get at least 7 of them for doctors that I know, Ayurvedic healthcare people. I know a masseuse who deals with clearing chakras, people that are dedicated to healing people. I want to make these gifts to them and also to learn how to use one myself to help people that I know of that are ill.
You know, it's funny because it's the, you know, when you talk about charging money for for technology for humanity. We're coming out of that. We're going to transition out of profit and gain. It's when the wealth is distributed amongst the human race, there's going to be so much wealth that it as it gets distributed, it take a bit to distribute it, but as people become well off, then it's not going to be a big deal anymore. And people, it's like one person wears a pair of orange socks and everybody else has white socks. So everybody looks at the person with the orange socks. Eventually, everybody has orange socks, so it's not a big deal anymore.
I understand that. But if I want to fund the beds, if I want to fund them in order to buy them so I can give them to people so they can heal people for free, the bankers are going to say, well, how much do they cost? Because the rate of exchange.
What'll happen is that you'll have a rundown, an education of the structure of the technology, and there may not be any cost at all involved. To make a statement that they're going to run that $60,000 to $80,000 is crazy because the beds aren't on the ground yet. They haven't even been distributed.
So ignore Kent Dunn. Okay, I get that.
So the fact of the matter is that when the beds are made available, when they are made available, the process will start, which means that certain groups of people that want to participate in the distribution of the beds will be sat down and educated on the process. Period.
It's also my understanding there's a card they're going to hand you of the foods to eat to keep your body young. Are those exclusively those foods to be eaten only, or would those be in addition to what you normally eat?
I'll give you an example, because we're getting crossed. That the old way and the new way are becoming blended, and it gets confusing. The new way is that you go up to a replicator. Replicator rearranges plasma energy. Everything we have is plasma energy. So an apple is plasma energy, but it's in a different form. So what happens is that you want healthy food. You want a fresh glass of 5 combination juice. It's there immediately. Period. All right. Tastes great. It's wonderful. Period. So eating healthy will become automatic because you'll have the replicator and the database, which will cover everything, all food groups, everything.
This is going to sound. I'm sorry. This is going to sound strange, but if we have funds, why can't we just take some of those funds and put them in the replicator and make all? Wait a minute. Make all the money we want with the replicator, and that way we're not dependent on the bank.
By the time, because there are certain restrictions on the replicators.
I don't know. I'm asking a real.
Yeah. There's certain restrictions that people can't just have money appear and have tons and tons of money. Eventually, the whole purpose of this new technology is to usher humanity out of prison and into a free life. It's to bring them into a free life and a much less stressful life. So when you bring in the replicators, the other civilizations have replicators. They're going to bring those in. We're going to start getting them out to different. It takes a while. It'll take a while to get things manufactured. I don't think they're going to bring them all down here without us having to manufacture some.
You also mentioned the field generator. I spoke with you last about saplings being able to be matured.
Hi, hon.
Field generators.
The movie was interesting.
That's a time.
I would recommend it.
That's a time accelerator. So it puts a field around whatever it is, and you can accelerate the time in reverse, which would make it younger, whatever you want to do, or you can fast forward the time, and you could turn a seedling into a full-grown 20-year-old tree.
So will that be coming out with the replicators and the med beds also, or is that after, like later?
I think some things will be graduated out.
Okay.
We're not going to, they're going to dump it all at once. And you're going to get people coming up with things that's just going to be sound so far-fetched. It's unreal.
Wait, whoa, we're not through yet. Jared, I want you to know it's Cindy, and I meditate with you every day. I'm there with you, baby cakes.
Thank you.
I'll get off now. Thank
you. Thank you.
Jared, this is Jim from Washington. I've had the pleasure of visiting with you before, talking with you before the last we had, and we're still going to get together because everybody on this planet is going to be multi. We're going to be very rich. And that richness is going to last for a period of time, and then there's going to be a time, which you said before, that mankind will not need or use money on this planet anymore. But before that time, we've been literally lied to, we've been cheated, we've been duped, we've been beguiled. We've just been by the satanical forces that control this planet and still do at this point in time. And I'm really convinced that the reasons that we have not had anything come to us before, such as all the prosperity and the foreign exchange monies and so forth, is because if they would have come into these current times right now, we would have probably been lucky if we'd have received pennies on the dollars and then be able to lose them. But I want you to know how much I appreciate you, how much I love you. You're the blessing to mankind. You've been sent here by, I know, the powers to be, from our Creator, Prime Creator, to share this great, fantastic information. But it's all positive. It's all love, and it keeps us going and going. I listen to and I share your daily messages every day with everybody, and of course I listen to them myself, my wife and I. And if you don't mind, I had nothing to ask a question of, but there was one party on the telephone this evening that was talking about protection. And I was very blessed many, many years ago, 25 years ago, to have been introduced to what is called the Corporation Soul, which is asset protection. And it's over 600 years of age. Obviously, that's before this country was ever heard of or built or created. And it comes into the First Amendment of the United States Constitution. It's our belief system that is our Creator's blessing to given it to every human being on the face of the earth. And it's the greatest. It's the greatest blessing I've ever had. I have 3 of them, and if anybody is interested, I don't sell them, I don't write them, I don't make any money on them, but I sure share them. I've done this for over 20 plus years. I want people, because of their whole assets. The purpose of the Corporation Soul is to control everything, own nothing, but control everything. You never want to own anything, control everything, which literally means personally that you could literally control, a person could literally control billions and billions of dollars to say. But on their history, they're paupers. They're paupers. So you can stop people from suing you and so forth, etc. But you can sure stop them from getting them. But if anybody was interested, they could certainly contact me if they would be willing to, and I'd sure share the information with them like I do all the time. I'm on a conference call as a host every Thursday night, and I share all the wonderful things, positive things, with things that are happening, because we live under their control currently. That's soon going to be gone. I've been told I share everybody. There's no Sarah, and I've been told I'm crazy, I'm dangerous, I should be locked up in the mental white coach and can put me away. They just can't comprehend that or believe that. So the good things that are coming, but the wonderful, great things happening is a lot of people now are coming to the light, and you are one of the big the beings that is bringing us people into the light. And as you continue, more people will come into that light. And I just love you and appreciate you, Jared. I've got your email, and we'll get together, because, like I said, I've got millions and millions coming in, and I want to. It's all going out to humanitarian for mankind.
Ask a question, please.
Yeah, don't interrupt. I appreciate that, Jim. I appreciate it.
Go ahead. I'm through. I just want to know you. I love you and appreciate you. God bless you.
Thank you. God bless. Okay, next question.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Sure can.
Oh, great. Thank you, Jared. Okay, so my question is a little different. I don't want to be it's about something that's going on that I heard from Stephen Kelly about the Getty Museum, and underneath it, these things that are going on. Are you aware of this?
There's There's so much.
And I'm asking about it because he seems to think, and I've heard, like, unless that is, like, that really needs to be addressed in order for everything to change. And I've been wondering, what do you think about it? So that's my question.
Well, there are so many. There's so much that humanity has been kept from of the happenings underneath the surface of this planet. There are, being eaten, being used as food, species of different civilizations feeding off the endocrine system of the human race. I mean, there's my opinion, my feelings about it, and there's a lot of it, not just under there, but there's a lot of things happening and have been happening for centuries on planet Earth that humanity has been kept in the dark about, made it think that it's all a bunch of magical hooey. And the seriousness of it is that humanity is a prey, and the predator are these beings that continually are continually after us by consuming us, enslaving us, and doing everything you could possibly imagine. And to get that out, to get this information out to the public, is a very high task because of the fact that the public's awareness is very low. The belief mechanism is very low. So you only go to people who seem to be receptive and open enough to comprehend the atrocities that have been perpetrated against humanity, and they are great. They are just absolutely astronomical. Anything that you could possibly think of has been done to humanity, and then some. The atrocities.
Do you know if?
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you know, because speaking of the RV being soon, then the SARA being this year, do you know, from my understanding, there are underground, it's like underground cities linking even to other countries through the Getty, it's just unspeakable. So do you, I can't see that, do you know anything? You seem to know a lot. Do you know if that is that being, is something going on right now? Is it still horrible? Is something going to happen soon?
I'll put it this way. All the atrocities and shenanigans that have been going on this planet have been marked for neutralization. All right? Everything that's been going on. That's total freedom of human race that we're in process of having happen. So all the things that are happening in this underneath the surface of the planet to humanity, to human beings, to children, to on and on and on, it is going to be neutralized. Okay? And a lot of it has already been neutralized. It's a massive, massive undertaking. It is not something that can be done in the blink of the eye. Give me a pill and it's over. It is something that is progressive, that is taking place as we speak. The oceans are being cleaned. There's so many things happening. For instance, the Mer people have come back to the Pacific Ocean. So their ship was here a few weeks ago, and they have returned. They're going to help with the oceans. There's a lot of things happening, obviously, that you are not going to be made privy to because there's so much distraction and there's so much deferment of the truth that goes on, and it gets watered down. The ability for humanity to comprehend the atrocities done to it has always been in question by the Galactic Council as far as whether or not the human race is ready. But the vote is that total disclosure is now. And the human race is as ready as it'll ever be, and it needs to move on. It needs to move on to its next step of evolution, and to quit being imprisoned and basically retarded to stay in one position and only be allowed to move certain little bitty steps as far as future advancement. So all of these things, every one of them, all of the underground things that are happening and have been for centuries, all of these displaced, so to speak, civilizations that are non-interactive, that have caused harm, are going to be neutralized. Some of them have already been neutralized. There is a web of underground tunnels and cities spanning the entire North American continent under the ocean, directing and connecting to different countries and different cities. And that system has been in place for quite some time. They've expanded it. They travel at a velocity on the surface that no one has traveled at. They have starships. They have, the cities have grocery stores, theaters, just like we do on the surface. There's thousands of people living there now. And they have trains, or I wouldn't call them trains, I would call them tubes, that travel at massive speeds to get from point A to point B. Some of them are gravitic powered. So, we've got time jump going on. We've got time travel that goes on. We've got all kinds of things that have taken place technology-wise that the human race on the surface population don't have a clue about. They think the iPhone 10 is the latest, greatest technology, and that's 100-year-old technology. So, the human race has been, literally, as Jim said, and it's very true, it's been duped. They've been lied to and cheated on so long, forever. People look at things and they see them with their eyes and they listen and they say, well, that must be the truth because this person is, telling me this is a credible person, whatever. They've got all these accolades and all this stuff. So I'm talking about the news media and all that thing. They're telling you this, and this person's an expert in this, and they're saying this. Most of it's all deception. It's all to keep everybody in the dark so that they can't get their own mind together and educate themselves and be powerful. It's to keep humanity powerless and to keep them from advancing, because that's what they want. They want that control. They want to be able to enslave us forever. They don't want us to be happy. They don't want us to be successful. They don't want us to advance. They don't want us to explore space. They want to control us, period. And they eat us. They grind us. They mix us with hamburger meat. Look it up, research it, look up Cargill Labs.
Right. So when you're saying like the cities under the earth, there's the Agarthans, who as far as I know are good, but these like the under the Getty, they're like they're sacrificing children. There's like these draconians living under there. There's like, it's just horrible. So you're saying that's going to be neutralized, and you're also, but are you also saying that these evil living people or beings are also having movie theaters and swimming pools and things? They're like having supermarkets, and they're also sacrificing children and
oh yeah, absolutely.
This is
absolutely.
all that you were talking about them. Okay, it's just
unbelievable. There's also installations of reptilians on Earth that live in underground facilities that you really can't mess with. They're very formidable. They're like 8 to 9 feet tall. Their skin repels bullets. They have a skin that's tougher than armor, and the bullets just bounce off of them. So you have to use a high-tech weapon to do any damage to them. And they've been here a long time. There's different species, civilizations that are peppered here. If you knew how many are amongst us, you would be blown away. They look like us, they talk like us in so many words, they act like us, but they are not us. And that's not science fiction, that's fact.
Hey, Jared.
Well, thank you, Jared, and I really appreciate it. I feel soothed, and this is part of the meditation we're doing. So thank you very much. That they're going to be neutralized. Thank you.
Yeah.
Jared?
Yes.
Thank you so much, and thank you for everyone letting me talk. I, real quick, just want to know, current healing technology for eyesight and aging like herbs available now? I'm going to clock off here.
There's most people's eyesight. You know, the process is eyeglasses, obviously, usually. Later on, they came out with LASIK and that type of thing. But the eyes are meant to be exercised, and they're not exercised because a lot of us, that we just follow the rule. Well, you get glasses, okay? If you got your eyesight's weak, you get glasses, and you wear glasses, and you progressively lose your eyesight because your glasses, they get worse, and, a certain age, and then you have to get new glasses, and then they get, progressive, so on and so forth, macular degeneration, glaucoma, different things take place and happen. It can all be reversed. And there are applications that can reverse macular degeneration and can make the eye healthy again. And these technologies are right now being fought to be blocked because of the fact that the industry, the eye industry, again, wants the money. They want the gain. They want the lucre. They want it. And they don't want these technologies coming out and having humanity access them, which basically, what does that mean? Your eyes are healed. You have 20/20 vision. You don't need glasses. You don't need to have anybody poke around and tell you that you're going to lose your eyesight or whatever. It's over. It's done. No visits to an optometrist, no visits to an eye doctor, no visits to an ophthalmologist, none of that. You don't have to do it anymore. All that money dissipates, goes away. Okay? And the old structure, the third-dimensional structure, is firmly implanted, so it's hanging on like with an iron grip to not let go of its control of all of this stuff. So the humans are dictated to. We're all dictated to. We're all told all this stuff. You got to do this, and this is going to happen, this is going to happen. We're never told the truth, so we follow that advice because we believe it's true advice, so we all do it. We just follow it, and we take, okay, fine, and I'll do this, and I'll do this. But those that look outside the box, and they start realizing that there are solutions and there are cures for these things, okay? If our immune system wasn't so burdened with poisoned water, poisoned food, poisoned air, poisoned soil, poisoned everything, having to combat it, medications out the yin-yang being pumped into our system, if our immune system was allowed to operate cleanly and healthy without any of that distraction, we would have renewed bodies on an ongoing basis. We'd have renewed organs. We would regenerate. And that's a fact. But unfortunately, that's not being told to the human race because of the fact they don't want that to know. They don't want the human race to know that because then the human race starts saying, well, let's get to these things. Let's get them going. Let's start getting our bodies back to where we want them, okay, without all of this hoopla and all this garbage and stuff that's being peddled to us that doesn't really do us any good. And that's the bottom line. And it's a fact. See, humanity is coming to a point here where they're saying, we don't want this junk anymore. We know there's more. And it's just like you asking, today, is there any technology right now that can heal eyes? Yes, there is. And in fact, the matter is that they block it, trying to keep it from people. You imagine a heart attack victim who has half of their heart is destroyed, can regenerate their heart to new again. Imagine somebody who has gone blind, okay, that can regenerate their eyesight to 20/20. And these things are doable. They're applicable. They're not an impossible thing. They're things that exist, but human race isn't aware has access to it. So it's kept that way so that they can control the narrative. They can control everything. And it's the same with it's like some people don't mind aging and some people don't like to age. They don't want to age, so they don't have to age. And the picture I'm painting is trying to convey is that across the board, that third dimension is going to be gone. We're not going to be in the third dimension anymore. We're not going to be in that. We're not going to be in a low collective consciousness anymore. We're leaving that. We're actually leaving it as a human, as a civilization. And some people are accelerating, some people are slower, but we're all leaving that avenue. We're going to get to a point, and I'll take you just real quick into the future. The human race will get to the point on its evolution where it will just heal itself. It won't need any technologies. It just heal itself. Anything that needs to be done is done. All right, and we're going to advance to the point where we're going to colonize other planets. We're going to go out into different galaxies and different parts of the universe, and progress and advance. We were created. Think about this. We populate. Okay. We've overpopulated the planet, obviously, because there's not enough room on the planet anymore, and we need to be off the planet. That's why we've overpopulated it, because we haven't been allowed to get off of it. We haven't been allowed to explore and advance. We should have been exploring 50 years ago out there. We should have been. We should have been out there already, long time ago. Instead, they play this game on Earth with rockets and everything and sending up satellites and all that stuff, when there's a super advanced space program out in outer space. Absolutely been around for years and years and years. Massive ships, massive flotillas, massive technologies that have been around and been around and been around. And then everybody on the surface of planet Earth, they throw them a bone every now and then with some new technologies here and there. And that's it. And that's how it works. That's how it operates. That's how everything operates. And what everybody now, you've got Wilcox, you've got Corey Good, you've got a lot of people out there that are pushing for full disclosure. And full disclosure means all of it, nothing held back. The human race needs to know it all. All the technologies, all the atrocities, all the harm that's been done, all of it, period. That's why some of the benevolents have been trying to convey forgiveness. Because, forgiveness for all, for everything. It's just to dump all of this third-dimensional goop behind us and to move forward into a whole new existence, a whole new life. So hopefully that covered more than enough.
Jared?
Hey, Jared.
Yes.
Jared?
Oh, go ahead. Yes.
Hello. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. It's so good to hear you from you. Listen, does any technology can cure the trauma from those kids that are being abused and all the bad things that are happening to them?
Yeah, those children will be, it's a term used called cocooning, and they will be put in a chamber and cocooned so that they can heal. The atrocities and the damage their spirit has witnessed, sometimes we have to heal. It takes us a period of time to regenerate because we've experienced such traumatic things. And a lot of those children will be, I guess you could call it cocooned so that their spirits can heal and they can heal, and then they'll be fine. So
that is beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, have a good night, dear. Thank you.
Jared?
Yes.
What do you think about hypnosis?
Hypnosis?
Yeah.
Well, it works in certain ways because it is effective in certain applications depending on the person's need and requirement. So obviously, I've known some people that are professional hypnotists that do a lot of good for a lot of people. There's a lot of effort that goes into that in research, and it's an old art. I mean, it's an old art. And basically, it's subliminal suggestiveness. It can take you back to past lives. It could take you back to take you forward to future lives.
Okay.
So, it can allow you to leave your body.
It's safe?
Yeah, depending on the person performing it, you got to vet the hypnotist and know who you're allowing into your existence. So you want to make sure that whoever the hypnotist is, that they have a good soul, a good spirit.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Jared. Jared. Oh.
Yes.
Hey, Jared, I was wondering, I keep hearing about baskets out there. Is that true for other currencies that may not go through this round?
Say that again.
Okay, I keep hearing about more baskets after this exchange, for other countries that may not go through. I don't know. I hear on one side that they're all going to go through at once. And then I hear that there's going to be baskets later on, opportunities to buy other currencies. But I was thinking that's probably called double dipping too, right?
Well, if you look at things logically, and sometimes it's hard to do that, but when you look at things logically and you look at all the currencies on the planet and you research them, you look at them and you look at all their values and everything, and you start realizing that some of them have been just bastardized. They've been just torn up for years, and they've got to come back to balance. They've got to regroup and rebalance. And usually, and no one knows this, but see, no one really understands. We went from a value-based hard asset-backed paper to nothing, where you could just print unlimited amounts of paper for as long as you want and buy all kinds of valuable things with paper that has no value, because it's not representing gold or silver. It's not representing any kind of a value asset base. So you go to a value asset-backed currency, which puts things in check. You can only print as much as you have, as much as your country represents. You can only print that much. That's it. So it puts things in check, and the value of currencies on the planet were all on fiat. None of them were hard asset backed. They were, the central banks, all fiat, print as much as you want, and usually spending like crazy, like, drunken sailors. So you get to the point where you have all these currencies from all these different countries, and these countries have value and ground assets and so on and so forth, so they have to adjust on what they think their currency can buy on the international market and what it can buy locally and what it's worth. And so as they progress, some countries will revalue and come up with their currencies. Others will take a little bit longer. So, there'll be some countries, it's like, if you look at this from the standpoint, look at Vietnam. Its currency, and you look at the currency, you look at the value of the currency, it's pathetic. It's ridiculous. Okay, why even have a currency that's that devalued? It's ridiculous. You got to print boatloads of it, which takes up additional ridiculous amounts of natural resources. So you just sit there and say, okay, let's revalue the currency with the value that we have here in our country, so we can back our currency. And that's what I would do if I had a country, and I wanted to evaluate our worth. What do we have that the world needs? What do we carry that's valuable in our country? Well, in the Middle East, all they have out there is oil. That's it. Okay, it's sand and oil, pretty much it. They don't have huge other commodities. Now, in other parts of the world, we've got diamonds, we've got gold, we've got silver, we've got palladium, we've got platinum, we've got copper, we've got concrete is another commodity. I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there that countries have that are highly valuable. We've got rare earth metals that are housed in different parts of the world that are in-ground assets. So when you take that collective wealth and you distribute it out in different countries, you have a certain amount of currencies that will readjust for the gold standard. Right? They're going to readjust. That's what's going to happen. That's a given. All right? And anybody in the know knows that. So, and once they readjust, those that are aware that they're readjusting, which is not a lot of people, will make a lot of money. Okay? It's just like but not all of them. Okay? You're not going to see, you're just going to see certain ones will revalue because it's time for them to revalue, and then you'll eventually have everybody follow. So it'll be an adjustment across the board, and some of them are taking a while because they're putting together what they're worth, what they have, and how they can back their currency. They have to gold back it. Now, some of the gold's been distributed to different countries, okay, and it's equal wealth distribution. Bottom line. Now, I don't believe in giving a ton of money to governments because we know what happens, and it's happened every single time. It doesn't work.
Right.
So, you give the money to the people. Okay, so you're going to have some foul-ups and stuff, and it's pretty much common that that'll happen. But for the most part, I think that the human race has a good conscience, and it really wants to do good for each other, and I think that that's what will happen. I think that we'll have when it's all said and done, we'll have some people that will be the bearers of wealth and that will responsibly distribute that wealth to their fellow human beings. And I think that's the game plan from heaven. That is the God plan for the human race, that the wealth distribution all across the planet goes to humanity, and so that humanity is freed.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much.
Hello, Jared.
Jared.
Hello. Good evening.
Canada.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Jared.
Yes.
I wanted to ask about DNA.
Yeah. DNA.
Does it take? Understand that if you have activated 12 DNA strands, that's when you can heal yourself. Can you go into detail about that and how you would do that?
Well, we've got 2 strands of active DNA. The rest of the strands, they don't know how to activate them, and so they call them junk DNA. Okay, so we've got 24 strands, but 12 have identified, and when the third eye, which is your pineal gland, which normally they want everybody to take in large amounts of fluoride, which calcifies the pineal gland so that you cannot use it. It is a gateway to dimensional frequency, and it can guide us and take us to places we haven't even dreamt of going yet. And so the actual process of DNA is, as we progress here, as we're progressing and vibrational frequency increases, the DNA will light up. It'll come alive. The pineal gland will come alive and it'll decalcify. Most human beings' pineal glands are and of course, the medical business doesn't know anything what the pineal gland is. It's a useless organ, blah, blah, blah. But for the most part, it's our gateway, and it has a lot to do with lighting up the rest of our DNA. We're in an advanced civilization. We're just young. And a lot of the things that we're capable of carrying out, we aren't informed or educated about because we don't know how to, because we don't have all of the lights turned on in our vessels. So when you don't have all the lights turned on, there's some dim areas, and we got to have all the lights on. And we're in the process of having that happen, to have all the lights on, to have all the experience of multiple DNA strands.
So if all the lights are on, that's when we can heal ourselves?
Yep.
Without the technology?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll need the technology.
Is the med beds on the way out, on the way in then at this time?
The med beds are on the way in.
How can we get involved in that?
As soon as we have physical access, then there's groups out there across the planet that will send out communications to different people who want to participate in the distribution of the beds and to help with them. Sit down and groups and discuss, the different applications and what to do, how to do it. It's just basically a baseline education.
So is that this year then, or is that going to be this year?
It's expected this year.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much for your help.
Hello, Jared.
Jared Rand.
Could I ask you a question, please? I'd like
Sure.
to know if a person is in need of a hip replacement, dialysis, eye injections, all these things, as one waits, it's painful to endure. Would you recommend carrying on without the surgeries? Is that more detrimental if you do the surgeries? And what about arthritis? It's just, is there anything that presently one could do to alleviate the pain?
Yeah, there is. On arthritis, just about 90% of all the problems with the human body is inflammation.
Okay.
If you concentrate on reducing the inflammation in your body by different nutrients and not the mumbo-jumbo stuff that basically does nothing, but, natural nutrients. There are different fruits, and this is fact. It's a matter of fact. It's just simple. Fruits and vegetable combinations and seeds that you combine in a drink, and you literally eliminate your inflammation. And once you eliminate the inflammation, the pain subsides. It disappears.
Great.
You don't have it.
Where do you get the instructions to make the drink?
I think that the best thing to do is to go to your
health food store?
Your search engine, and type in organic foods that eliminate inflammation.
Thank you. And what about the surgeries, like the hip and the cataracts, this kind of type of thing? Would you hold off?
I'll tell you what, cataracts, and a very, very prominent eye surgeon told me this, because he did several when my mother was alive. He did several cataracts removals. I mean, he did a whole bunch of them.
On the same person, you mean?
No, on many different people. And I asked him when I was sitting in his office, and I asked him, I said, what is the main cause of cataracts? And he says, you really want to know? I says, yeah. He says, the medications that people take causes cataracts.
Surprise, surprise.
So the waxy film that builds up over the eye is literally caused by medications that people take.
Over
90% of all cataracts are caused by the medications that people take. And it takes a while to build it up, and it builds up, and it builds up, and then eventually there's the cloud there, and of course they use the laser, and they cut it off, and they put in the fake, the replacement artificial lens. And that's the cause of cataracts, is the actual medications that people are told to take.
Wow. And if the person went ahead and did that, would it be more detrimental later on, or are they better to ride it out if things are happening pretty quickly? Which would you recommend?
Oh, boy, I'm not going to go there with that. I'm not going to...
Sorry, didn't mean to put you on the spot. I did not mean to do that.
I won't do that. I'm not going to do that.
No, okay. And what about the hip surgery? If you were in need of hip surgery, would you go get it, or would you just wait?
You mean a hip replacement?
Yeah.
Me personally?
Yeah.
Depending on how painful it was. Because I know with the med technology, the hip replacement would be eliminated anyway. So
if you can ride the pain out, help is on the way rather quickly?
I won't say that. I'm not going to do it.
I'm sorry. Hey, thank you. I totally appreciate it. You've been great.
Jared?
Thank you.
Jared, this is Cindy calling you back. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I forgot to ask you something really important. I am an incarnated angelic cherubim. Edgar Casey told me this. I was one of the original Essenes. Are you a cherubim or are you an archangel?
Archangel.
Oh, so are you called Archangel Jared? Is that your name?
No.
Do you want to tell us what your name is?
There's a community angel, a community archangel. Okay, And the community archangel's name is Shamshiel.
Shamshiel. That's
Shamshiel.
And that's your name.
And that the Shamshiel is the archangel of community work and helping groups of people and communities
that sounds like
have a harmonic relationship and benevolence, guidance of being benevolent and peaceful and loving and working together.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm a cherubim here to restore habitats and to assist humanity, and I just recently found out that Jack Kennedy is here, and that his name is Joffrey. He's an archangel, and he has red hair. And I just recently found that out. His name is Joffrey. Have you met with JFK? Hello?
You talking about John?
John F. Kennedy, yes. He's back. He's Archangel Joffrey.
Yeah. There's, for people listening, there's a lot of archangels who have come into human existence to help the transition of humanity, to kind of cover it for everybody to understand that there are a lot of, in my meditations, I call in the archangels and I call in the seraphim and the cherubim to help in the meditations for the planet and humanity. And these are commitments that we made before we came in to the physical life. So we made these to help humanity. We gave up our etheric duties to help humanity. So it's like Cindy as a cherubim, and the archangels that are here. People don't know that there are different levels of archangels, and there's thousands and thousands of archangels. And at times, some of the archangels come into human form and exist in a life and take that life. It's like Kuan Yin. If you research Kuan Yin was a human at one time, and they don't know whether Kuan Yin is either way, male or female, combined. So Kuan Yin basically decided that she would watch over humanity and help humanity. So that was her decision, his decision, to do so. And there are others, and people call them the Ascended Masters, but in reality, they at one time were human and have transcended into their current form, which is any form they choose to take on. But the changes happening here, we have thousands of archangels on planet Earth, thousands of cherubim on planet Earth, and thousands of angels on planet Earth.
Whoopee!
Here, helping. And to make, to give people that awareness that that's a reality. It's not a joke. It is an absolute reality. It's like all the things that you cannot believe because they're so far-fetched are usually the truth. The things that are easy to believe are usually the lie. So if you remember that, you'll understand to comprehend and to take a second look at things that sound so strange at times that are coming out. Boy, these people are a bunch of kooks. But it's not the case, because the existence is real. The existence of others other than humanity is real. They are assisting with this transition of the human race into the light and love and prosperity of Creator. And it is controlled, and it is being run at the very top of the chart of creation.
I hope someday to meet you. Will we all get to?
It'll be fun.
We'll
all be together.
Shamshil.
We'll all be together.
I love you. I send my love and light.
Shamshil,
I love you.
Love and light.
Okay, I'm off. I'll get off.
Love you too.
May I?
Bye.
Could I just ask one question? I just wanted to read.
Hold on. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, Jared. This is Stephen in California. How can you talk a little bit about the anti-gravatics, and how we would participate in projects like that and get that transportation going?
Once we have, there's down south. There is a facility that is housing several anti-gravitic flyers. Okay, scooters, transports, cargo transports, buses, that type of thing. Now, they have not been released to the public, but and that, of course, is a sticky wicket. So once we have free and open-sourced access to the anti-gravitic drive system, we will have groups of people coming together in the planning and processing stage of manufacturing those anti-gravitic drive systems for various vehicles. So we do not have open source for that yet. Don't have it.
Several people, like David Sarita, seem to have understand it very well, and can draw diagrams of how it works, and even Mark McCann.
Yeah, the Germans had it back in 45 and 50.
Mm-hmm.
They were the first to have the anti-gravitic. In fact, some of their saucers were anti-gravitic. Now, most of the super space program's fleet is anti-gravitic powered. So it's a pretty out there. It's a pretty common energy source, power source.
So most
and
likely,
it's actually, if you look at anti-gravitic, it's almost like a time device, because it literally does jump time. It forms an artificial grav bubble around itself, and it bends light. So it manipulates gravity and it bends light. So it doesn't make much noise. It has a little whirring noise when it starts up, but that's about it, and then it's gone like a flash. It's like boom, boom. That's why it could travel 65 light years in 45 minutes.
Wow.
So there's you get frustrated because there's so many of these technologies that are being used out there that the surface population hasn't had access to for years. Would have made our lives much simpler and much easier. All the suffering and everything would have not had to have taken place. So.
Yeah, all the shipping going on, like the diesel that operates shipping vessels, is one of the biggest polluters on the planet.
Yep. We have a massive amount of pollution that's unnecessary. All these old technologies that we're forced to use. On and on and on. Factories that are archaic, even though they think they're state of the art. So it's a shift of consciousness for humanity to go in this new direction and to leave all that stuff behind. And that's the point. When we have open source, and open source means anybody can do it.
Yeah.
It's open source. It's that's the future. No more hiding stuff. It's like if you want to build it, here's the plans. Go build it. And that's the way it's going to be. It's how we're going to do business. It's like, you aren't going to have these goons that protect certain, top secret information of technologies, because number one, we won't have self-destructive technologies. We will have aiding and helping and assisting humanity with good technologies, supportive technologies, supportive civilization technologies. And it'll just, we advance and we'll advance further and faster and quicker, and these technologies will help us leapfrog many years into the future.
So William Tompkins mentioned like Lockheed Martin and Northrop Grumman and all the usual aerospace manufacturers were already participating in it.
Yep.
Rocketdyne.
Absolutely.
Rocketdyne.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In fact, Lockheed Martin out of Bethesda, Maryland, is the one that controls the super space program.
Right.
Where all the money's funneled, and the trillions of dollars that they use to build these massive ships and installations and mining operations. And, I mean, it's just human slavery. It's pretty rampant out there. They pull humans off the planet and then they send them to other places because we're so good with our hands. So they used humans. Forced labor on asteroids and different other planetary areas that they can use them to mine different materials.
Yeah, that's understandable. Yeah, you hear about like 30 or 40 people being abducted in Washington, D.C. in one night.
Hundreds of thousands of humans are taken every year.
Yeah.
Yep. They're taken every year.
Well, thank you for your comments. I yield.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Jared, I would like to just ask you a couple little fast add-ons to my questions.
Okay.
If one stops their medications, would that allow reversing of the cataracts a little bit?
You're trying to get me again.
No, I wasn't. I was not. No, I wasn't doing detrimental. I'm just wondering if...
I don't think that once the damage is done, it's not going to reverse it.
All right. And last part, and that's not here, whatever that is. Somebody's muffling their phone. The other part was dialysis. If one did start it, would that harm them? Could that be reversed again when things come into play?
No, not at all. No.
So what I meant was, is it better to wait? I mean, as bad as it is,
well, if they need dialysis, they aren't going to be able to wait. They'll die.
Yeah, I know. Let's get yeah. Okay, so like you got to do what you got to do, and then one can get it reversed after.
Yes.
Thank you.
Exactly.
Thank you so much. That's it. Thank you very much. Bye.
You're welcome.
Bye. Bye.
Jared, this is Jim again. Just quickly, Jared, is this presentation being recorded tonight?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Is there a number that you can give in the code?
If you go to the website global8000meditation.com, the playback number is right there.
Okay, and that's again what global website?
It's called global8000meditation.org.
Okay. Thank you so kindly.
You're welcome. You're welcome. One more question, folks, and we'll call her a night.
Anything to say about Area 51, Jared?
Hello?
Jared.
Yeah, anything to say about Area 51?
A lot of stuff there.
Top secret, huh?
There's a lot of stuff there, I'll tell you that.
It'll be revealed later?
Yeah.
Okay, take the lady. I jumped in head first. Sorry.
Okay.
Jared.
Yes.
Jared.
Yes.
Hello. Yes. Can you, before we close out, can you give us an update on the status on the RV, where we are at? And thank you so much for today's meditation in reference to patience. God knows we all needed that today. And thank you so much for all that you are doing with us in reference to meditation each and every day.
You're welcome. Everything is happening now. I'll just say that. It's all happening now. Everything's happening now. Things are happening and transpiring. So that's as far as I'll go with that subject.
So how will we know when we can make a move? How will
You're
we
watching.
know?
You're all watching. You're
watching.
not in the dark. You're not in the dark. So keep your ear to the rail. The transition has already begun. Nothing on what you see out there in front of you. But,
exactly. So how will we know what banks are safe?
That's going to be, that's going to be up to using discretion on how you feel about different financial institutions, on whether or not you feel safe with this one or that one. If you want, you just get a cashier's check with all the money. Take it and deposit it wherever you want. You can just say, I'll just take cash. You can just say, I'll take a cashier's check for the total amount, whatever it is. That way.
I just have one thing, Dover. Everyone that's on this line, this money, remember, is yours. Doesn't belong to the bank. It's your money.
Yep, sure is.
Yours.
Yeah, we just
it's
want to
the
make
human
sure
race's
that
money.
It stays ours. Stays our money.
Sure does.
Yeah.
Sure does stay your money. It's the human race's money. This money has been stolen from humanity. This isn't money that is being awarded. This is money being returned to humanity. And I don't care who controls what. The bottom line is that all the money on this planet belongs to the human race. It does not belong to a handful or a collected group of so-called elitists. It belongs to the human race. The human race has been raped, robbed, and pillaged for centuries, forever. And this money is being returned to humanity, for humanity to take up the reed and peace and to help the planet heal and to help their fellow brothers and sisters heal. That's what this is all for. It's not for personal gain. It is for that is across the planet. And no matter what anybody is saying, no matter what anybody is doing, this has been decreed. It is a given to take place. And it is totally the opposite of everything that's being shown to humanity right now. If you believed everything that was going on, you would think that, that it's just everything's a joke. It's all a joke.
Right.
So, but this is, this process that this money is being returned. It's not being awarded. So, but I want to thank everybody for coming to the call.
Thank you.
I will post this I'll post it with IQD, and they'll put it up. And I thank them for doing that. And they'll put it up on to be listened to. It'll probably go up tomorrow sometime. And then after that, if it goes down, then everybody, you have a copy of it. You can access it. You can access it from the conference call line site because I open it up for access. And people can, download it, play it, whatever. So, but, I really would like to, I'm going to read something for everybody, and it's a prayer of protection for everybody on this line. And it is, it's basically addresses a lot of things that a lot of people are experiencing, and it goes like this. And this is for each and every one of you that are on this line right now, and I'm sending it off to each and every one of you so that it enrobes you. So, Father, Mother, God, I ask that we be cleared and cleansed within the universal white Christ light, the green healing light, and the purple transmuting flame, within God's will and for our highest good. I ask that any and all negative evil energies be completely sealed in their own light, encapsulated within the ultraviolet light, cut off and removed from all of us, impersonally, with neither love nor hate. We return all negative evil energies to their sources of emanation, decreeing that they never again be allowed to reestablish themselves within us or anyone else in any form. We now ask that we be placed within a triple electromagnetic shield of the universal white Christ light of protection. And for this blessing, we all give thanks. Amen. So with that, I wish you all well and blessings, and God bless each and every one of you, and I wish you all well. And thank you for coming and spending the day.
Jared, we love you, and God bless you, and thank you so much.
Thank you. We love you.
Love you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.